Welcome to another episode of Future Educators Talk with Damian and Darren. I am your co-host, Damian Anderson. As you can see, my co-host, Darren Fred, is out again. But don't worry, he will be back soon. So, let's just get started today with today's topic. I am going to be talking about restorative justice in schools. So, let's just hop right into it. So, schools and teachers, they are dealing with behavior issues and bullying that they are constantly searching for new and effective ways to handling it all. And one of the concepts that's been making headways in recent years is restorative justice. So now, what is restorative justice? All of y'all are probably are asking, or probably a lot of y'all are thinking, and what does it take to make it work in schools? Probably some of y'all are wondering that, right now, y'all are listening to me saying that. So I am going to tell y'all that. So just listen to it, okay? So restorative justice is a theory of justice that focus on meditation and agreement rather than punishment. Did you get that? So, offenders, they must accept responsibilities for harm and make some kind of a representation. They must make some kind of representation with victims. And this concept has been around for hundreds of years, with individual people, like the Mariah, if I'm saying that correctly, and they have been using the restorative justice successfully in their communities for generations and generations. And I have found that in the late 20th century, restorative justice has gained tractions in the U.S. and other countries as various groups that have fought to improve the effectiveness of the criminal justice system. So, that's something right there. And continuing on, within a few years, the success of these programs led to the exploration of restorative justice in schools, especially those that suffer from high rates of student misbehavior. So, okay, and I continue on researching, and in California, there's a school, Oakland Unified School District. They began using the program at a failing middle school. I don't know which middle school, but they used this program at a failing middle school in 2006. So that's way back, y'all. That's way back in 2006. And within 3 years, the pilot school, they saw a decrease in suspension by a massive. Now listen to this, y'all. They saw a decrease in suspension by a massive 87%. 87%. With a corresponding decrease in violence. So, also, the practice was so successful that by 2011, the OUSD which is the school district, they overhauled its system and made restorative justice the new model for handling the discipline problems. So, to me, I think this is great. This is great, which I'm going to explain later on in this episode of how teachers can probably use this in schools, which I believe this is like great of using this kind of like behavior in schools. So I'm going to be explaining lots of information. So stick around, listen, which I'm going to be explaining lots of information. So stick around, listen. So what are the basic practice of restorative justice? So restorative justice practice, they build relationships. I talk about that in one of these episodes. They building relationships. You have to have that connection with your students firsthand, because if you don't, then it's going to be bumpy down the road in the year. So that's one thing, build relationships. The next thing, strives to be respectful to all. Yes, strives to be respectful to all. The third thing, provides opportunity for equitable dialogue and participant decision making. Fourth, involves all relevant stakeholders. The next one, address harms, needs, obligations, and causes of conflict and harm. And lastly, encourage all to take responsibility. Yes, all of these are good practice. Yes, all of these are very, very good. Very good. And continuing on with this, of the practice. What else do they practice? Number one, what you have is, if crime hurts, justice should heal. Now, what do I mean by this? If crime hurts, justice should heal. Well, the focus is on repairing harm if it has occurred, right? So, yeah. So if crime hurts, justice should heal. So the focus is on repairing harm if it has occurred. We want to focus on that, repairing the harm, the damage. We want to repair that. We don't want to, destroy it. We want to repair that harm, what it has done to, the student. The next, number two, you have is nothing about us without us. Did you get that? I said nothing about us without us. So, with this, those impacted, they feel welcome and safe to speak and participate. Okay? Those impacted, they feel safe and welcome to speak and participate. So let them, yes, because we want them to feel, we want them to feel safe and welcome. We want them that. We want them that. We want our students to feel that when they come in, into our classroom. We want them that. So, yes, I believe me and Dana, we talk about that in one of our episodes, in one of our previous episodes this season, and I know we did last season. So yes. So again, nothing about us without us. That is like so deep right there. To me, that's nothing about us without us. Yeah. All right. Number 3 going on. I'm about to go off topic here. Number 3. There is simply no substitute for the personal. There is simply no substitute for the personal. So, building respectful relationship is foundational and an outcome of any process. Again, building that relationship with that student. We want to have that connection from the start. Again, like I said in that in my previous episode, in one of those previous episodes where I talk about the building relationships with students all year long, we want to have that connection because that connection is key. We want to have it from the start, because if not, your year is going to be bumpy with that particular student. So build that relationship with that student from the start. Don't try to wait to do it almost close to the end of the year. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Just don't do that. So again, there is simply no substitute for the personal. Number 4, this can work. I can live with it. This can work. I can live with it. Okay? So, what I mean by this is agreements are made by consensuals, if I'm saying that correctly. This can work. It can work. So, lastly, I am willing to do this. Yes, you can. I am willing to do this. Yes, you can. Yes. Participation is voluntary. Yes. Come on now. Yes. Absolutely. So, all of those 5 things that I mentioned, yes, those are it. So yes. So, because the last thing, I am willing to do this. Yes, you're willing to do anything. Yes.
Restorative justice.
Willing to do anything. So, continue on. So, restorative justice is a fundamental change in how you respond to rule violence, to rule violent violentation and misbehavior. And this topical response to like bad behavior is, it would be like punishment, correct? And restorative justice, it kind of like resolves disciplinarian, I can like never say that word, problems in a cooperative and construction way. So the program that I mentioned earlier, it is based on respect, responsibility, relationship building, and relationship repairing. I agree on all of those things. All of those things right there. So, and schools like the OUSD, that school district, I've been searching this up, researching. They use a 3-tier approach now, which I'm going to explain in a minute. So, tier 1, it kind of like focus on building a strong community within the school, laying out the groundwork for responsibility and respect. And tier 2, it like attempts to resolve conflicts and heal the harm students causes, while tier 3, it kind of like supports the students re-entering the school community after a suspension or like a either after a suspension or exclusion. And it also provides individualized support. So I am going to explain the 3 types of the tier approach. So the 3 types of each one of the restorative justice. So you have the restorative justice tier 1, which is the prevention. Now, the first tier is all about community building as a prevention measure. Now, teachers or peer leaders, they lead students in circles of sharing. So they gather them around in circles. It could be I believe they probably do them in big circles, or they just gather around in circles. This is where they allow the students to open up about their fears and their goals, which I love about this. I absolutely love about this. And I found that this is what David Yearman, he is the first OUSD program manager of restorative justice. He quoted, I'm quoting his statement, and he quoted that for this, that the circles are based on The circles are based on indigenous practice that value inclusiveness, respect, dealing with things as a community, and supporting healing. And he continues on saying kids really resonate with this process. I have seen kids share things that was extremely surprised by, like 8th grade boys talking about what scares them. To seem weak in their world is a life-threatening thing, so I was really impressed. That's wow. This is wow. I mean, that's all I could keep saying, just wow. This can really help out a lot. It can really help share what's again, open up to them. Let them open up. Again, open up about their fears and their goals. Just let them, all come out of them. So I just love this. I do. And so this is like the foundation for restorative discipline. And students, they play a integrate part in creating the climate of Tier 1. So, at the beginning of the school year, and their teacher, they create a classroom respect agreement. So if teachers, if you're listening to this right now, if you're doing this in your school, let me know, how do y'all do this? Or if you're planning on doing this, maybe, which I will explain later on in this video. But anyways, at the beginning of the year, they and their teacher, they created a classroom respect agreement, and they all agreed to be held accountable. And the contract is an extremely effective way of maintaining harmony in the classroom. So, teachers can't say, here are my rules, sign them. No, you can't do that. You need to explain what it is to your students. Explain each of the rules, what it is. You can't just, say, here are my rules, here are my rules, sign them. No. Unacceptable. No, don't do that. No, that doesn't work. No, there's no ownership for the students in that. No. So if the students help you create the rules, then they have ownership. So and if they break them, they can be referred back to them. So there you have it. So that's Tier 1 of the restorative justice, which was the prevention. Now, moving on to the restorative justice Tier 2, which is the intervention. Now, Tier 2 comes into play when the students break rules and someone has caused harm to someone else. Now, in transitional justice, this is when punishments are meted out. Restorative justice instead kind of turns to meditation all of a sudden. And the offended student is given like a chance to come forward and make things right by meeting with the affected parties and a mediator, we're going to use a teacher, usually a teacher. It's always a teacher. If it's not, then it's probably, I'm really not sure. Probably like maybe a principal or probably a counselor, maybe. All the teachers that are listening right now, let me know who is always, because it's usually a teacher, but y'all let me know who is, if a teacher cannot always, who is, because I would like to know. But anyways, moving right along. It is always a teacher, and the mediator, they ask non-judgmental restorative questions like, what happened? How did it happen? Or what can we do to make it right? Those type of questions. And through their discussions, all parties gain a better understanding about what happened, why it happened, and how can the damage be fixed. And so this is quoted by David Yerman again, and he said that they will talk about what can be done to repair the harm. They will come up with a plan and fulfill that plan. And hopefully that relationship will be stronger. It's really all about relationship building and repairing them. Yes, I quite absolutely agree with him. Like I said again, that relationship building with the student and the teacher, that is like very important. I'm about to preach quite like on that again. You have to have that student quite like teacher relationship. I'm sorry, we need to have that relationship, that connection. Start it off from the beginning. I have to have that relationship bonding, and also with the other students as well, whoever is quite like involved with that. That's quite like my opinion on that. You have to have that relationship. So this episode is quite all about like relationship building. You got to have that relationship building. You just got to. With this, you just got to. So that is Tier 2 intervention. So lastly, you have the restorative justice Tier 3, which is the reintegration. Now with this, the Tier 3, this aims to help kids who have been out of school for a while due to suspension, or they have been, incarcerated, or whatever. So whatever they may have, whatever kind of punishment they have been in. So now, returning to school life, this can be a it can be like a real challenge in those cases for some kids maybe. And many students in transitional environments quickly they reoffer or drop out again. So, well, that's, wow. Now, me and Darren, we kind of like talk about that like in one of our live videos of our this mini series of this, and we don't want any of the kids to call like drop out, but that's like a whole another topic of that. But anyways, but yeah, so anyways, restorative justice practice, they seek to reduce recidivism by providing a wraparound, supported environment from the moment a student returns to school. Alright? And it also acknowledged the student's challenge while promoting accountability and achievement. Alright? So, there you have it right there. So, those was all of the 3 tiers of a restorative justice. So, I hope all those really help out to all of the teachers that are listening to this right now. To all the teachers, new teachers, all the veteran teachers, all of the teachers all of the future teachers that are listening to this right now who wants to become a teacher. This will like help like me and Darren out as well, if we plan on like doing this as which like school district, if we plan on probably like doing this in our schools. So yeah, so continuing on with this topic. So this question right here, with the restorative justice, does it really work in the classroom? Does it really work in the classroom? So there's 7 questions that can change the school discipline, and I have already mentioned quite like 3 of these, but there's another set of these. Well, not quite like another set, but there's like another one. So you have, again, so I'm gonna read them. So you have, what happened, how did it happen, what part did you play in it, how were you affected by what you do, who else was affected by what you did, what can you do to repair the harm, what do you need to make it right? So those are the 7 questions that change the school discipline. Now, going back to, does it really work in the classroom? Now, so what does all this look like in a real world school or classroom? Now, so Roxanne Klassen was one of the first teachers to try restorative justice in school, and she has seen the success her husband Ron using it in his work with the juvenile criminal justice system. And Roxanne, she decided to try the model in her elementary school classroom in California. So she worked with her students to write a respect agreement, and together they determine how they would treat each other to create a positive classroom community. And if a student violated the respect agreement, she would remind the students of the agreement and ask them if they wanted to honor it. Now, 90% of the time the student did, and the problem ended there. So, now if the problem continued, she worked together with the student to try to find the solution. Now, she quoted this, you said, here's the problem. What can we do to fix it? The message you're sending the child is, I'm not against you. I'm for you. I want you to succeed. So, I mean, that's, wow, right there. Now, continuing on with this, continuing on. So here's like a real life example of doing the restorative justice. So in one instance, two of Classon's 8th grade boys, they broke a paper towel dispenser in the bathroom. And at first, like no one, they admitted the responsibility. So Miss Classon, she told them that we have a restorative discipline system here, so we accept responsibility and that we can make things as right as possible. But we can't do that unless someone, accepts the responsibility. So the boys, they admitted that they have done it. And Miss Classon, she called a meeting with all the people involved or who was affected by the innocent. I can never say that word. Which was, the boys, the parents, and the custodian. Now, they talk about what happened, and everyone had a voice to tell. So, Ms. Classon, she said that in that process, the custodian had a chance to let the students know how difficult it is to replace a dispenser. And she continued on saying that it gave the students incredible knowledge of a real-world situation in a way a suspension never could, and relationships improve instead of being damaged. So, right there. So, one of the students couldn't afford to pay to replace the dispenser, so the student himself suggested that he could work with the custodian to pay his debt. And he enjoyed it so much that he continued to help the custodian long after he finished his recitation. So, you see right there, that is some good work right there. That is, you see what things would do right there? That's, that relationship. That relationship. That relationship. I'm just saying. That relationship. Building that relationship. But continuing on. So, here are the benefits of restorative justice. So, what are the benefits of restorative justice? So, you have address and discuss the needs of the school community. Okay? Address and discuss the needs of the school community. build healthy relationships between educators and students, resolve conflict, hold individuals and groups accountable, reduce, prevent, and improve harmful behavior, repair harm, and restore positive relationship. There you go again. Repair harm and restore positive relationships. Restore positive relationships. Restore positive relationships. Restore positive relationships. Come on now. Like I said, having that connection. A connection is key. Oh, come on now. Seriously. I mean, like, this whole episode is all about having that relationship. I mean, this is just almost like what I was talking about in my episode of building relationships with your students. It's just, we want to have, again, that connection with your students. We want to have that. So, those are the benefits of restorative justice. Now, so if you're like thinking that, if you're kind of like thinking that implementing like this kind of program in schools is a lot of work, especially up front, you're right. You are definitely right. You're definitely right. I'm about to say, trust me. I'm a student, so what am I talking about here? I'm not even a teacher. But you're right if you're thinking of that. So all the teachers that are listening to this, if you're thinking about doing this in your school, yes. But many teachers in I can never say that word, but many teachers and administrators, there I go, who use restorative justice, they say the benefits far outweighed the effort. Okay. So now I'm going to give out like some little, probably like, now I'm just gonna like give out little like, I don't know what you kind of like call this. I would say like little tips, or well, not like tips, probably like little key points or whatever. Just whatever. So you have less stress. So teachers who use restorative discipline practice, they find that behavior in their classroom, it improves dramatically, correct? It does. It does. And here it goes again. They have better relationships with students. They have better relationships with students. I'm gonna just let that sit there for quite a moment. And therefore, less stress from unresolved conflict. Because we all know that teachers, they can, well, let me not say can. I know that, well, I'm just speaking from my opinion here. I know that teachers, they are stressed. Trust me, I know that they are stressed. I know that teachers are stressed like all the freaking time. I know that. So, and restorative discipline improve. This is what Ms. Klassen said. She said that restorative discipline improved my relationship with my students, see, and improve her relationship with her students. And she continues saying, instead of making the relationship more difficult, it brought us together and improved our interaction. See, having that connection from but see, we want to have that bond. See, it brought us together and improve our interaction. You see, here's a live example of that. That is what I was trying to tell y'all. In that episode. And here's what I'm trying to tell y'all again in this episode. So, y'all got it in that episode, and y'all get it again in this episode. So, if y'all don't get it in this episode, and if y'all didn't get it in that episode, then I don't know how I can get it through y'all heads. I just don't know, because this is it helps. It really does. Again, I'ma keep saying it. I believe I'm gonna let that be another quote of our podcast. Connection is key. Connection is key. Connection is the key. Because we want to have that bond with one another. We want to have that bond with that student, bringing us together. Exactly. All right. I need to calm down. I need to get back on track here, because before I start back preaching up again. All right. So, moving on. The next one you have is more time for teaching. More time for teaching. Now, we all know that teachers need to do this. Well, let me explain this, and then I'll probably do it quite after. So Ms. Klassen, she quoted that you spend less time on discipline and have more time available for teaching and interaction when you use restorative practice. This is what she quite observed, and students aren't afraid to admit when they have done something wrong, as they are in a punitive environment. So you save a lot of time investigating who did what. Okay there. And Ron, he adds that when you have a punitive system, the automatic response is to deny responsibility, because you will get punished. With a restorative justice system, the incentive is to admit what you did, because there's going to be a restorative process to make things right. So yeah. More time for teaching, because yes, our teachers need that, because I feel like they quite don't have that more time for teaching. To me, that's my thing, because they quite get cut off. That's my opinion right there. So moving right along, you have better outcomes for students. So I found that I can never say this word. Statistics. There I go. So I found that it shows that using restorative practice keeps kids in school. And punitive systems, it often removes students from the classroom, even for minor offenses. And with the restorative justice, everyone works together to keep students in the classroom where they can learn. And children who are expelled from school often end up in what education reform activists call the school to prison pipeline. And also restorative justice wants to stop this cycle and keep kids on track with their education. Okay? So, yep. Again, better outcomes. We want better outcomes for our students. Exactly. Next one, addressing root causes. So if this restorative justice encourages kids to explore the reasons and effects of their offenses. David Yurman, he said that restorative justice addresses the harm caused by the offenses and the harm revealed by the offenses. And continue on saying, when you get these kids talking, you learn about the you learn about the traumas they have faces. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do learn about their traumas. They have faced this. Maybe their brother was killed. Or their father was sent to prison. If you can get to the root of the cause of the offense, you're truly stopping the cycle. So again, addressing the root causes, get to the, yes, you learn about their traumas that they have faced. So again, addressing the root causes, like getting what is going on with that child particularly. So yeah. And lastly, well, not lastly, but the last, the tip or the guidelines or whatever, is the real life skills. So even if there isn't a major underlying problem, getting the kids to talk about what they did and why they did it is a more constructive way to handle the problems. Am I right here? I mean, you just got to, and you just got to. So, the historical process teaches students how to resolve conflict in a positive way. It does, and it helps them develop rational skills to understand a situation, follow a process, and resolve it. These are life lessons. These are life skills they can take with them in the world. Yep. Now, I have 2 more questions, and then I will be finished. I know this is like a whole lot of information, but these are like very, very important. These are all very, very important. Lots of information. So, number 1 is, what are the drawbacks to restorative justice? So, for restorative justice to work, it requires engagement from all involved parties. We need that engagement. So for instance, let's say if the offender isn't willing to take responsibility for their actions and work with the victim to make meaningful restitution, there's nothing restorative justice can do, okay? There's nothing that it can do with this. So, schools using the system find they still need transitional disciplinary actions available for circumstances like this. Okay? More than this, restorative justice in schools requires a pledge of time and money from the districts and its administrations. Now, there are like multiple of examples of schools that set aside funds to implement, programs, but they leave the money unspent. They do. So, they do. And other districts encourage teachers to use historical justice, but provide little or no training or support. And some teachers are just cautious of devoting themselves to yet another new program that's supposed to solve all their problems when they already have enough on their plates. And schools that dedicated themselves fully to the system, like Oakland USD and Chicago public schools, see real change in benefits, but the time, money, and enthusiasm required to make it work can be prohibitive for others. So that is that. I know that was like a lot of information right there. But that is what historical justice in schools for right there. Now, the question of the day for this topic is, what are the benefits of historical justice in schools? Please let us know by using the hashtag FutureEducatorsTalk and FutureEducatorsTalkSU on our Instagram and Twitter page. We would like to hear your thoughts. On the next episode of Future Educators Talk, I will be talking about I will be talking about professional development for teachers. So listening to that. Lots of great information on that. So you could follow me on my personal page on Instagram at Damian Anderson, because I am the one and only, of course, and on Twitter at _Damian Anderson. So, until next time, I am your co-host, Damian Anderson, and this is Future Educators Talk with Damian and Darren. I will see y'all in the next episode of Future Educators Talk with Damian and Darren.